Hi, I am Michelle.
I'm Marisol.
I'm Essie.
I'm Alina.
And together
We are one.
So we are going to try this again. So we have had some technical difficulties. We thought we had it all squared away and we didn't. So we apologize for taking all this time away from you. But stay tuned because obviously there's something greater that is coming with today's episode, and we are trusting and believing that God is going to do something great through today's guest speaker and through all of us and all of you that are viewing. As I said earlier, Together We Are One is a women's talk show. It is all about being encouraged, educating, empowering, and equipping the women. It's for the women to know that they're not alone in whatever situation you are going through. It's also for us to be healed, to be restored, to be delivered in one way or another. Many of us keep going through the same sick cycle. We continue to bleed. The bleeding doesn't stop. And so we want to, through this talk show, be able to share with you to see and provide you resources through our website and through our Facebook page. We don't have our website yet up. It is under construction. And but once we have it up, we're going to provide a lot more resources. We have some links on our Facebook page that will share with you about rejection through childhood, rejection at jobs, rejection through relationships. And so we're hoping that you'll be able to look into those and hopefully they will help you. We want to thank you for tuning in again. We're asking you to share and to invite others to be with us today because December has been a month about childhood rejection, and we all go through rejection, whether it be at school, whether it be at job, whether it be at home. We all have experienced rejection, right? So we are excited to be able to share with you a little bit more. December was a month of childhood rejection. You want to stay tuned for next month. January is going to be childhood trauma, which many people have gone through childhood trauma and rejection. I know that Marisol is going to be sharing a little bit more with us, but we want you to be, to enjoy, to sit back, and now that we have everything working, we're going to move forward. So thank you for joining me. Thank you for being patient. Continue to share and invite other ladies. Thank you. So Marisol, tell us about your childhood rejection.
Thanks to viewers for coming back. Hi, ladies. Hi, Michelle. Okay, so my rejection started at a young age. I was born in Puerto Rico. My mom left my dad, and we came to the U.S., so me and my two sisters. And I was 5, my younger sister was 3, my older sister was 7. And we left our dad because there was abuse in a relationship in our home, and there was also alcoholism. So again, as a little girl, my mom is not going to tell me that my dad is struggling with all that stuff. So, and it was mentally, emotionally, and it was physically too. So as a young little girl, we came to the USA, to New Britain, Connecticut, where you could say I was raised. And we came to meet my mom's cousin. At that time, when my mom came, she got sick. So here we are in a new state, new family members that we didn't even know, and she got sick. She caught pneumonia. She ended up in the Britain General Hospital, and guess what? She was there for 6 months. She went into a coma.
Wow.
So here, look at this. 3 little girls in a new state, new family, not with my dad, because I was saying, where's my daddy? I want my daddy. I want to hug my daddy. Did he reject us, or did we abandon him, or he abandoned us? So at that time, we used to go see my mom for 6 months straight. Every day we used to go to the hospital, and we used to see my mom, and we were dressed like now when you go to the hospital with all the blues on and the mask and everything. But every day we went there, and we used to see my mom, and she was there, and I used to say to myself, Mom, come out, Mom. I need my mommy. Right. I want my mommy. As a little girl, we want my mommy. I want my daddy. We want her because now we're in strangers. And me being the middle of them, well, guess what? I was very shy and gullible and naive, but I was scared. So between rejection and abandonment, I got fearful too. So between all that, my dad did come. He came for 2 years. He opened up a little store in New Britain, Connecticut, a little corner store, and he was there, but my mom divorced my dad. So what he did after that divorce, he went back home to Puerto Rico. So he went, and the only contact we had was on the phone with my older sister and siblings. But myself, I don't even recall that, Michelle. So I don't know if I wanted to forget that or what, but at that time, I don't remember. All I know is that we got a call that he passed away a couple of years later.
Wow.
So right there was an emptiness, Michelle and Essie and Lena. There was a void. I wanted to be loved by my daddy. I wanted to be just loved and hugged. So a man figure in my life. Even though my mom, we had a stepdad, and again, I love my parents. They gave us what they had. You know, what they gave, they had a roof over our head. We didn't have a lot of money, but there was love and we cared. But yes, again, it was a cycle.
Right.
A cycle kept going on and on. But guess what? The most rejection that happened was self-rejection. I rejected myself. I didn't love myself because I wanted to be loved, so I did anything to get anybody's approval. You know, from my friends, from my peers, from work, from a boyfriend, from a spouse down the road in my life. All that, I wanted to be accepted because I felt unaccepted. I felt unloved. I felt unworthy of me, of this little girl. And really, there's this little girl that was crying out for help. She was chained up. I was my own prisoner in my own prison. I was in shackles. I didn't know how to live, and all I did was smile, because I was a little happy smile. Okay, that could get me far, but I was being bullied. I remember going to school, and I had Spanish girls following me, started stamping on my feet and just pushing me around, and I was like, I was crying to myself. I didn't used to tell, I told my older sister, but it was sad because being bullied because of who you are, some people were jealous. Again, you know, a lot of times it was jealousy or competing or comparing in different areas. But I remember this girl, Agnes, I love her. I remember going to her and I said, hey, those girls were bullying me. And then she said, really? Come on. And we went to them and said, you touch my friend, you're going to be messing with me. And I felt so proud. I'm like, yes, I got a friend that's protected me. But through that, I didn't have a voice. I didn't speak up. You know what? I was like, honestly, like my mom. She was so sweet and kind and loving and a saint. But she didn't, you know what? She loved everybody. And I wanted everybody to get along. I always had things together that just brought everybody together. But through those pain, I did things. I compromised my morals. I compromised my values because I did not want to be rejected. Again, rejection, it just killed me. It was really broken. I was broken. And you know what? It affected different relationships.
Absolutely.
Right? Even with friends are different. Sometimes you wonder why people are not close to you or why people are leaving you. Not realize I was so needy, Essie and Alina. You know, I was so needy because I wanted to be loved. And that's all. I wanted to be accepted. So I pushed people away. Not saying that they already had their own problems, you know, different people, but I had to own up to my own problems. But it didn't take till like 40 years down the road to deal with my baggage, you know. So guess what? 40 years of baggage doesn't go away right away.
Right.
You know, so I did get help. I get counsel. And I started walking it out. Because again, you could teach me something and then you could go and not walk it out. You had to go and walk these things out. You had to talk about it. And I started talking and sharing. And we went deeper. We went to the root of the problem.
Right.
You know, and a lot of times we don't want to go to those roots because it hurts. It hurts. But guess what? Knowing that somebody's there with you, the support, through a counselor, through a therapist, through your pastor or somebody that could help you and lead you and guide you through those things, you need somebody. You cannot be alone. So what I love about this show, Michelle, thank God that you stepped out into it, because just the viewers will know that together we are one. We are here. You're not alone. You need to reach out. You need to reach out and talk to somebody. And know, and guess what? I didn't used to validate my emotions. I used to keep them inside. So how many of you guys keep your emotions inside?
No, I know I do sometimes. Yeah.
I think that we all keep our emotions inside. I think that is something that we saw with our family, right? A lot of us saw our family, especially our parents, you know, we don't talk about it. We don't discuss this outside. What happens in here stays in here. And so that just kind of shuts us up. And a lot of times our parents shun us, you know, like we don't need to talk about this, or, you know, you're going to be fine. But a lot of times, you know, it goes to show that you never know what kind of pain we go through. I've known Marisol for many years, and she has never not smiled.
On the
Never not smiled. She has smiled through the worst of the worst situations. I have seen her through some very tough situations, and she smiles. That is the grace of God. But for Alina, I'm sure for any of us, if you would have not known what she went through, you would have never known that underneath that smile, there was all this pain and all this rejection. You know, Marisol, you shared with us that even though you went for counseling, did you ever really realize that the part of the root was rejection, or was it until now?
Until now. And you know something? Well, 3 years ago. You know, it's funny because I started counseling like 13 years ago. And again, it was different things that were rooted out.
Right.
That started rooting. But I always knew that, okay, why doesn't this person want me near them? Or why can't I fit into the clique? Or why, you know, they're pushing you away, and I didn't know. And I started talking, but you know what? I got to say something. Lily Herrera, if you're watching, love you, girl. Last week, she talked about, hey, you're going to be talking about rejection? Talk about self-rejection. And I'm like, oh my God, yes. That is so true, because you know what? 3 years ago, until I was broken and I had been shaken, my life went up and down. You know, I had been shaken up, broken, got rid of everything that the Lord was just stripping me from things. And I started seeing, oh my God, who am I, Michelle? Why is it that, why can't I have a good relationship in some ways? Or is it me? I started questioning myself. What's going on? Is it me or is it that person? And I started digging in more in the Word, and I started saying, okay, you know, yes, I don't have an earthly father right now. I don't have my earthly mom because she passed away from COVID, but I do have a heavenly Father.
Amen.
And because I didn't have that love, I started searching Him more and more and digging in. I'm like, okay, I need to find out what's going on with me. I'm the problem. Because it's easy. Don't we blame everybody else, guys? You know, so guess what? I finally started coming more and more. So, okay, let's get more with you. Let's get to a place, remember being His presence, and just, okay, what's happening inside here? Why am I feeling that way?
Right.
You know, and I started digging more and more. I'm like, wait, because I still felt inadequate. Because a lot of times, okay, well, oh, she could have that job, that's her. Or she could step out and do, well, why am I not stepping out? What stopped me? I stopped myself. I stopped my growth in different areas, a stagnant. We get comfortable, Michelle. I got comfortable.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if you ladies get comfortable.
I think, you know, when we're trying to look for approval from other people, we want to be loved by others because we've been rejected. You know, that brings our self-confidence lower. There is no confidence. There's no more confidence when the people that are supposed to love you are not showing you that love and attention and affection, and they're shunning you. So you get to a point that you're really like, okay, am I not worthy? Am I not good enough? Am I not smart enough? Do I not fit in? Am I pretty enough? Am I, you know, tall enough, thin enough? We start, and it's funny that she's talking about self-rejection, which it came from childhood rejection, right? But that continued to grow. I know that after our first episode, I believe Alina talked about a snowball, how it starts small, but then it keeps going and going and going because we don't talk about these things. We're not dealing with it. And a lot of times we may go for therapy, we might go through counseling, but it's not just hearing someone telling us what the problem is, it's having someone talk us through it. It's having someone teach us how do we get through it. How do we get from A to B and B to C and C to D until we get to the end of the root of it. And so one of the things that you shared was that you went to counseling, but it wasn't until 3 years ago that you finally started realizing that there was an issue, that there was a rejection. And today, you know, that came up for me. What about self-rejection? We have all rejected ourselves because we've tried to help others. We try to people please others. You know, we're trying to fit in with others. We're not thinking that we are good enough for, you know, our self-value. You know, we think we're insecure. We don't feel like we can go and fight forward, that we can do better, that we can do greater. Because if we were little kids and no one told us, you can do this, I got you, how can I help you, let me, you know, show you how to do this. If we don't have that growing up, then as an adult, we're shunned from it. You know, I know that I look at, and I don't mean to bring her up, but I look at my daughter, and since she was very young, I always told her, you can do this. Let me show you how to do this. I taught her at a very early age, you know, this is how you do an interview. This is how you carry yourself. This is how you dress. You don't put up too much. And when she wanted me, I'd be like, yes, honey. I'd give her my undivided attention. I don't know where it came from, but I just know that I did. I just knew that it was important for me to make sure that she felt that she was being heard. And perhaps it was because when I was growing up, maybe I didn't believe that I was being heard by my dad, right? I know my mom, she heard me. She listened, but she was caught up being a mother, caught up taking care of the things of the house, being caught up with the things, you know, of the business or work or whatever. And even sometimes, you know, we may have some parents that are giving us attention. They're hearing us, but they're not listening. There's a difference. When we're hearing, what we hear is we hear a sound, we hear a noise, but we're not listening to what's really behind that voice. What is their cry? We had one of our guests, one of our panels, she shared how she spoke to her mom about something that had happened to her, and her mom just kind of dismissed her and told her, well, show me, well, tell me. She didn't believe in her. So she heard her little girl, but she wasn't really listening to the pain and the shame that she was feeling.
Put herself in her daughter's shoes.
Yeah.
Right. And I know, Essie, for you, you know, you had a situation that you were, you know, family members spoke to you, and you felt that, oh, you know, I hurt them, or they hurt me. They weren't really listening. They weren't really taking into consideration what you were going through, what you were sharing. What would you like to share about that?
At the end of the day, you know, I spoke with you, and then I also spoke to other, like, older women in my life that I trust, and I came to understand that it's not them and it's not me. It's more than that, you know. So whatever they say, whatever they do not take it to heart, and understand that they're probably going through their own issues, and from the way they grew up with those issues, how they're going to react to your issue.
Exactly.
So don't take it to heart. Don't take it personally. Just know that God is working in them as He's working with you. And again, don't take it personally, because it's not really your problem. It's really not your problem.
You know, one of the things that I have to say that I've learned through this, even through this topic, right, is that whoever has really been rejecting us, we take it so to heart and so personal.
Oh, yeah.
But what we don't understand is that person has also been rejected. And because they've been rejected and neglected, they don't know how to interact with you. They don't know how to speak to you. They don't know how to listen to you. Because they too have been shunned. They too have been dismissed. So we have to realize that they're not doing this to us. They're really doing this to themselves. Although we take it like they're rejecting us. They're not loving us. They're not listening to us. They don't care about us, right? But the truth is that they're loving us with the best that they know how, with the best love that they received. And many of them did not know what love is. Many of us didn't know what love is growing up. Exactly. What does love really mean? Exactly. You know, if we haven't been loved with the love of Christ, and again, I shared this before, you know, we are faith believers. We're not trying to put religion, but the truth is that until we know the love of God, that is the only true love, we're not going to be able to know how to love each other. We're not going to be able to know how to love our neighbor. And so there'll be a lot of rejection going on, right? So when people reject us, we have to say, wait a minute. They also have been rejected. So I'm not going to take this personal. I'm not going to allow this to affect me. I'm not going to allow this to define me. But because we don't talk about this, right? We don't teach you about it. We don't know any better. And so we go through all the pain. We go through all the shame. We go through trying to look for all this attention. And then we keep getting rejection. And a lot of us stay quiet because we don't want to get rejected. Right. And at the same time, rejection. Right. But it's also causing us more pain.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. And you know, I'm glad you're talking about that. It does cause, but the love of God, like you said, we don't know the love. You know, we never knew that love. But like 3 years ago, when I got to that place that I was shaking up, my whole life was upside down. That brought me to a place that I knew more deep. I had to meet with Him, with my Heavenly Father. I had to meet with Him in that place. He was there with me. and he was so faithful. And
Right.
this love that I never experienced, it came alive in me.
Amen.
It rose up like never before. Because now he got all the glory. He got it. So here's a man that I've been looking, people are saying, who's this man? Who's your friend? Who's his father? Okay, you want to meet him? Well, I'll introduce you to him. And because I got to that place with him, that place, and he met me there, and he brought me through it and out of it, let me tell you, it's just brought me into a new level of being confident in him now.
Right.
Knowing who I am in him now. That he doesn't reject me because he will always love me. He will never leave me nor forsake me. And I am fearfully and wonderfully made by him. And I'm the head, not the tail. And I'm above, not beneath. And greater is he who lives in me than the one in the world. So when those things came in and I started believing in his promises and what he said about me, that I'm a king's kid and I have his DNA, watch out. So yes, you know something? Yes, do I get scared? Yes. But is it going to stop me? Okay, no, I'll say, okay, you need to hold me tight because I'm scared, but I'm going to go and walk it out. But he also showed me to be me, to love me. I'm loud, I like to laugh, I'm funny, I'm giggly, I'm crazy. I love people. You know, I just love people, and I do. I look at the best of everybody. You know, and I say, okay, so be me. I'm unique. You're unique, Essie, Alina, Michelle. He created us. If I reject myself, I'm saying, you know what? That you didn't do nothing good. I'm rejecting him.
Right.
You know, and I'm like, oh my God, no, you did the best. He created us with our curves, our smiles. I even love my little wrinkles. So you know something? I'm like, Lord, it's just a blessing.
So you no longer feel rejected.
No more.
And you no longer reject yourself.
No more.
So
Thank you.
God be the glory, right? We have a firecracker here. So, one of the things that I shared with the girls before we got started today, out of this whole month, right? And I want to give Alina and Essie a moment. Out of this whole month that we have discussed about this topic, childhood rejection, what do you take from it? How has it helped you, or what has it taught you? And Alina, we'll start with you. What can you take from it? What has it taught you? In what way would you apply it? Because, right, the goal is to be educated, equipped, to be empowered, and to feel embraced, to feel the love of God, right? Through these topics, through the women showing us that we've all been in this situation, right? What would you say, Alina?
What I've learned over these past few weeks is that, like I said before, rejection starts small, and you really never know sometimes what it is that affects you until something happens that you're like, oh, that hurts. Now you question, why does that hurt?
Right.
Right? And then you dig deep into it to find out why it hurts, and sometimes you realize it's because of this rejection that happened here in the past, or it's because of something that's new to you, and it's like, how do you learn? How do you get over it? How do you love yourself because of it, right? Marisol was speaking, and I'm like, we're all broken people, right? You break a mirror and there's sharp edges all over, right? And edges cut. So everybody's bleeding all over the place, right? So nobody's actually the whole person that they're supposed to be, because they're all bleeding from everything that happened all the way back in the past to now, right? So we have to learn how... Stop it. We have to learn who the healer is.
Right.
Right? And he is the only one who can mend our broken hearts. Right? He is the only one who can heal us from all the pain and everything from the past and even into the future, because you're going to be hurt, because the world is filled with broken people.
Right.
Right? So that's what you learn how to manage, who to give it to, how to get healed, right? And this process has like opened my eyes to some things that I didn't think that I had in myself. Like, I didn't think I was holding on to my dad so hard until last week, and I was like, oh, I have to let him go, right? So this is, you learn stuff about yourself. I learned that I was holding on too hard. I learned that rejection started small. I learned that there are broken people, and broken people hurt people, and we're all broken, and the only way for us to get healed is through Jesus Christ.
Amen. And that's a beautiful analogy.
Yes,
It
yes.
makes me almost want to cry
Yes.
because it's true.
Yes.
Hurt people,
Hurt people,
right? And
yes.
when we've been rejected, we tend to reject others. We reject ourselves
Yes.
because we don't know our worth, our self-value.
Yep.
We're not secure of who we are. And so, thank you for sharing that.
Yes.
But that was a great way of putting it. We know only God can give you that wisdom, right?
Yeah.
Of giving you, showing you the mirror, because it's
Yes.
so true. It's a broken glass. You look at yourself,
Yes.
and what you see is brokenness. There's a lot of different pieces. They're shattered in different
Yes.
ways, in different sizes.
Yes.
And so that is such a beautiful analogy.
Yes.
That just goes to show that we have all been a piece of that broken glass, of that
Yes.
broken mirror.
Yes.
That when we look at it, we have all gone through, even though that mirror is shattered, there's different ways of that mirror being shattered. There's different pieces, different ways, different sizes of it being shattered, right?
Yeah.
And so, unless we know the healer, like you said, it's going to be hard to mend that broken glass, that broken mirror, so that we can look at ourselves and reflect and say, wait a minute, I'm not the reflection of this broken mirror.
That's right.
I can only be whole through the Lord, right? And so, thank you. That was such a beautiful analogy. How about you, Essie? And I'm sorry. Thank you, Alina, for sharing.
Yes,
because
Alina.
It shows that, you see, something great is happening here.
Yes.
And there are things that Alina was able to share that she learns about herself.
Yes.
And a lot of times, we need to learn about ourselves. We're so in a rush to learn and get into relationships with other people, but we haven't even gotten to learn about ourselves first.
It's true. So true.
So we want to be loved, but we don't know how to love ourselves first.
Yep.
We don't want to be rejected, but we go with someone who's been rejected and rejects us,
Attract.
Right.
You're attracted to
Yeah.
So how about you, Essie? What would you say? What have you learned? What can you say that you've taken from all of this?
I learned a lot. Where do I start? Just to even add on to what Alina just said about broken people.
Yeah.
I strongly believe that rejection is a reflection of our brokenness, our disassociation with God, our rejection, from ourselves rejecting God, and I had to hold that full thought in my head, but I wasn't like I don't want to put this out there, but I wasn't supposed to even come to today's thing. And you asked me to come in today, and I strongly believe that God wanted me to be here in order to provoke healing within me and the whole idea of self-love. Because this whole weekend, I have just been going through a lot of insecurities and feeling bad about myself. That I had to actually delete my Instagram because I just started comparing myself to other people, feeling that I'm not getting the attention that I need, or I'm not good enough and whatnot. And it's like, why do I feel that way? Why do I feel like I am not where I'm supposed to be? Why do I feel like I am not this person, I'm not that person, comparing myself to other people. And one thing I always tell myself whenever I will self-reject, one thing I always tell myself is that if you truly love God, you love everything of God. And if you are of God, why don't you love yourself?
Right.
Why don't you love yourself? And if you truly believe that God fearfully and wonderfully made you, why do you feel like you have to fit in a certain box that society has created you to be in? Why do you have to feel like you cannot go out there because you're afraid people might, look down on you or turn their face from you or say negative? Why do you care? Why do you care so much about that? And while she was even speaking, this whole week, I remember I told her I didn't even have a topic about where my rejection came from, but I was talking to my sister, and I even had dreams about this over the summer when I was creating a better relationship with God. It was started from school. When I was a child, I was loved at home. My whole neighborhood knew who I was. If I went to that person's house, my grandmother's had to go ask somebody, oh, do you know where Essie is? Oh, she's right there. Everybody had my back. But until I went to school and people didn't want to play with me, friends didn't want to associate themselves with me, I felt like I wasn't good enough.
Right.
There were popular girls, pretty girls, and all those things. And I was the big girl. I was always big, like not always big, but like I was always bigger than my friends. So that whole idea of feeling ugly, feeling not good enough, all those things is, and value, my value, devaluing myself so that other people can find value in me.
Right.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, it's a bit backwards, you know, compromising my beliefs because I want to be accepted by other people. It's something that I gotta work on too.
And I remember, Essie, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that you have shared with me that very same thing about feeling rejection growing up and trying to please people and doing their homework or doing their, because you wanted someone to love you, someone to give you attention because you were being bullied because of your height, because of your weight, because you didn't look like them. And so that is a childhood rejection. You know, I know that Essie has shared with us about how she felt rejection from her dad and he had an addiction, but now today she's able to open up and realize that she's sharing about rejection that she felt at school. And so she always felt lonely, although she was around people, right? Because I remember you sharing that with me, that although she was not, she was trying to please everybody, she wasn't pleasing to herself. She wasn't happy with herself.
It really wasn't. It's just, but thanks to God, things are getting better.
Yes, yes.
So, what else have you been able to learn and take from this?
I'm a child of God.
Yes.
Nobody can tell me otherwise.
That's right.
Stand firm, look straight, look up to the heavens, and know that you are. If no one accepts you,
That's
God
right.
accepts you.
Ah, yes. Woo! I love you.
And that's something, you know, so for those of you that may not know me, right, we have a ministry, Light of Hope Ministries, and last night I shared about rejection. The Lord had given me the same word to speak about the whole month of December for rejection, not only for Together We Are One, but also in the ministry, teaching and preaching it. And so I have started sharing about how many people were rejected by their own family members. There were all these people that became kings, second in command, became a queen. They all have been rejected by their own family members. They were orphans. They were, you know, made fun of. All these people have been rejected by their family, but God had a plan for them. God redirected them through that rejection, and God had a plan for them. Although they were rejected by their family members, God made them greater. I had also shared about, you know, a man who was a beggar and how this man was also rejected. And when it was time for him to go, he ended up going to the heavens. Because why? Because he had a good heart. He was rejected because he was full of sores, because he was begging. What do the sores mean? The sores are all the pain, all the things that he had been hurt from, all the rejection. He had been rejected, right? And perhaps all those sores meant a different rejection that he had gone through in his life. There was another man that had been beaten and left for naked, right? And half dead. And so he was also rejected. He was rejected by a priest. He was rejected by someone who was religious. And it wasn't until someone who was non-religious that went and helped him. So you see, there's a different forms of rejection. But one thing that we have to realize that, you know, again, we're not trying to make this about religion, but in the Bible it tells us, God did not reject the sinful. He did not reject the one with the unclean lips. He did not reject the adulteress. He did not reject the one that had the 5 husbands and the ones that she had wasn't his. He didn't reject, you know, those that were blind, that couldn't see what they were doing. He didn't reject those that were lame, that couldn't walk on their purpose because they were hanging around with the wrong kind of people that were just lying around and full of different sickness, different addictions. The Lord never rejected. Even when the prodigal son left, right?
Yeah.
And he came back,
Yeah.
his father received him with open arms.
Yeah.
His father did
Beautiful.
not reject him, although he spends everything on doing the wrong things.
Uh-huh.
We all have been rejected. We've all done wrong things. None of us are perfect. None of us, we all fall short. We all sin. We all make mistakes.
Yes.
But it doesn't mean that we are not loved by God.
Yeah.
We're not rejected by Him. All He wants is for us to be able to come to Him. It's in His presence that the woman that was bleeding got healed. It was in His presence that the woman that was sick with infirmity and crippled got healed. It was in His presence that the man that was laying in the Bethesda pool for 38 years, that he got healed. It was all in His presence. So what am I saying to you? It's only through His presence, right? In the presence of God, that we have been healed. That God has, even now, He's healing us.
Oh, yeah.
He's showing us. He's guiding us. He's instructing us. This is something that the Lord had placed in my heart. So let me just start. This is a vision and a mission that God gave me at the beginning of the year. And I'm telling you that He said to me, my daughters have been hurting for a long time. My daughters have been put in the back burner. My daughters have been rejected and neglected and feeling like they have no value and they have no worth. They're full of shame. They're full of pain. And I need my daughters to get healed. That goes to show the love of the Father, that we matter to Him. We are His daughters. We are important. And we have been rejected by society. We have been rejected by family. We have been rejected by school, by churches, by our jobs, by relationships. But God is saying no more. I don't want my daughters to feel rejected. I want them to be healed. I want them to be whole. I want you to educate them. I want you to talk about this, because through the testimonies, we'll be able to give you the tools and teach you how to get through this. And every month we have a different subject. And every month we're going to have a different testimony. Every week we're going to have a different testimony. So this is something that God ordained, because He loves His daughters. We're not trying to convince you about any religion. We're not trying to make you believe or not believe. You're going to make that decision. You're going to be able to hear through the different testimonies of one thing that we all have in common, is that it's through the presence of the Lord, our God, that we've been able to heal. And we're still healing. It never ends. And right, it never ends. So rejection is a part of life, right? What would you say?
Yeah, it is. It's you know what, it's gonna be expected. I think I learned a lot too. I put high expectations on people sometimes, and I think I put too much pressure on people. You need to let people be free. You need to release that. So I think I think it comes down with the rejection part of it is loving yourself. Again, but hurting people hurt others. And the world, because we're pulled in the world. What the world wants us to be, that we'll get caught up on that. What the world wants us to do, and we get caught up in it. And you know what? That's what's going to come. There's going to be problems that's going to occur, different things. But through that, I think loving you. But if you don't love you, you're going to be crippled. You're going to be like a little girl in chain like I was. You have to come to a place to come and empty yourself, because now it's like the spirit is free. The shackles are fallen. They break the chain, like that Tasha Cobbs, break the chains. They're broken, and this little spirit is being free, flying and through that to the prison. Like when you go to a prison, you see the bars. She's gone. She's flying. She's being free. I could go to a store without my hair being done. I could go. It's so freeing. I don't have to worry about the makeup I put on, the clothing, my heels. This is another topic, Michelle. Maybe you need to bring this up down the road about image. Because girls are struggling with image. Right. Image is a big problem. And like I was saying, cosmopolitan. If I don't look like that girl, I'm going to make sure I'm going to put myself like that girl. But I was tormented in the image. So again, rejection. Don't reject yourself. Look in the mirror. Start looking in the mirror and say, I'm beautiful. I'm special. I'm smart. I'm worthy. He made me worthy. He made me secure. I love everybody. Start speaking positive things. If you hear something negative, turn it off. Just say, shut up. No, I'm beautiful. I'm special. Start embracing yourself. Try it for a month. Break those habits. It's a habit. We gotta break it. Listen, the stinking thinking. Every time, every thinking was negative. It was not good. Well, guess what? That was all I was intaking in. So you gotta speak positive over your family, over your children, over your marriage, over your finances, over whatever situation. Stop it. And if you have friends, listen, you got friends that are there. Yes, listen to them. But 30 minutes, okay, cut it off. Because now you got to change the subject. Or you got to go into a new circle. You might have to find new friends. You have to change. Again, you got to see, because if they're bringing you down, it's time to move forward, upward.
Right.
And I'm finding out that now that I'm taking risk, guess what? I'm getting rejected more often. Because now you're stepping out. People want to keep you there too. I know people that sometimes want to keep you, she's okay there. No, because they don't want to see you grow. They don't want to see that. But you know what? You wish them the best. You love them, but you keep on going. Don't stop. There's too much to offer. And I'm excited because, man, I'm looking forward to what God is going to do in this and with you guys. You're not alone.
So you hear Marisol, right? She's full of life. She's full of energy. She is full of, she shared about this cosmopolitan, how we want to look a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
All those images, all those women, they feel rejected. Trust and believe. They're not happy with their life.
Mm-hmm.
You have to love you for who you are, for who God created you to be.
Mm-hmm.
But more than anything, you have to accept you.
Yes.
I think that one of the hardest things for all of us is the first step to all of this is acknowledging it.
Yes. Oh,
And a lot of times, we don't want to acknowledge that we were rejected.
Right.
We don't want to feel that, no, maybe they didn't love me, or maybe they abandoned me,
Right.
or maybe they didn't really care. But it has nothing to do with them. Right. But that's what we're feeling. That's what we're thinking. Mm-hmm. But if we get to the point that, wait a minute, I did experience rejection. This is how I experienced it. I experienced it with my father. I experienced it thinking, believing a lie that I had, my mom was no longer here because of me. Right. And therefore you were rejecting yourself at that point, because now you thought it was your fault that you had caused something. Yeah. You rejected yourself. We have that. There's so much rejection that comes from addiction, whether it be drugs, whether it be women, men loving other women and leaving your family and your home, whether there's TV,
television,
it could be all kinds of social media, yes, sometimes we want attention, right? We don't want to feel rejection, but if you have someone in your home, a family member or spouse, right, that they're on the phone, and you're trying to talk to them and get attention, and they don't, and you want to talk to them and they feel it's not important, you feel rejected.
Of course. Yes.
Right? And a lot of times we don't realize that. Even if we're a parent and our children are coming up to us and we're too busy with the social media, we want to see what's going on, we want to find out other people's business, we're rejecting our children. We shared this last week. I don't think that people realize how much they reject the children. I don't have time. I'm too busy. Don't you see I'm tired? I have to cook. I have to clean. Go to your father. The father go to your mother. That is rejection. God blesses us with children so that we could be a blessing unto them. We need to take the time to listen to them. Not just hear them out and then, brush them off or shun them. We need to let them know that they are important, that they matter, that they are loved, and that they're not rejected. But a lot of times we pick up those bad habits, right? Because we're like those horses with those the blinders. This is all I know. This is all I see. So this is all I'm going to talk about because I can't see anywhere else. I don't know anything better. But one of the things that we can also talk about as we're talking about the shattered glass here is that if we get to love ourselves, we'll be looking at ourselves through a different mirror.
Very good.
And we'll be able to accept ourselves and be able to love ourselves, right? In a different way. We're all important to God.
Yes.
And we're all beautiful to
Yes,
Him.
we are.
God did not create anything that is not worthy.
He said it was good.
Yes.
He said it was good.
Yes.
So we're all good.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So when we look in the mirror, we need to say, okay, you are beautiful, you are loved, you are important, you are smart. What was that movie, The Help? When the woman always told the little girls, you remember what were the words? I always asked my daughter. She goes, you is kind, you is smart, and you is important.
For the help.
So, I want to tell all you ladies, you is kind, you is important, and you are smart. So, you don't need anyone's approval. You don't need to reject yourself any longer. Because God did not create garbage. God created everything that was good. And He loves us. He does not reject us. So it doesn't matter what other people say, think, and do. We need to make sure that we accept each other, right? That we accept. And like Marisol said, get around, and we spoke about this last week, get around a group of people, positive women, a circle that are positive, that are going to encourage you, that are going to pray with you, pray for you, right? We want to surround ourselves with all that is good, all that is like-minded, all that is going to be positive in your life. And if you have some people that are kind of a little stiff, it's okay. You go and love on them anyway. If you have some people that don't want to hug, you be like, I'm going to hug you anyway.
I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you, Mom.
Because, let me tell you, for me, I love my husband, but you know, I love hugs, and I love them tight hugs, right? And I'm like, sometimes I'm like, babe, give me a hug. He's like, what is this? Right? And I'm like, no, I want a real tight bear hug, because that's when you feel loved. You know, for me, a nice big tight bear hug makes me feel so loved and feel so good about myself. And that's why when I hug, I love to hug tight, because I want that person not to feel, you know, that I'm trying to squeeze them, but to feel the love of God, because I can only imagine and the embrace and the love of God, His hugs, His embrace, right? Letting us know that you is kind, you is smart, you is important. So, you know, would any of you like to share anything else? How would you, are you looking forward to next month? Next month is about childhood and trauma. I know that you said that your situation was very traumatic. And I know that you also, you didn't say this, but because I know this personally, and I hope it's okay sharing, your sisters also experienced a different type of rejection. You had an older one and you had a younger one.
Yes, my younger one. With her rejection, well, again, looking for love. Again.
And she was younger than you.
Yeah, she was 2 years younger than me.
Right.
You know, so again, she was looking for love. And again, I mean, as a young child, she went and, you know, hung out with people, her friends. You know, you start living life and enjoying life, but through life, it causes pain. There's going to be pain that causes in her life, and she experienced different pain in her life, but those are the people that sometimes she used to love, the ones that nobody loved. You know, because again, she's been in that situation. You know, she was there. So she reached out, and it brought a light to us too, to say, wait a second, you know what? She felt their pain because she was there where they were there. And sometimes we ignore the people that are there. Because sometimes we feel, oh no, let me not talk to them, or this and that, or because we feel we're bigger than them, and that, you know, is not the right thing, you know. So again, through her life, I just seen at the end, you know, this year, she just brought a light to me that she talked to anybody. She'll even go and hug them in the stores and this, and I'm like, okay, be careful, because they're going to do harassment on you, you know, because sometimes people don't know, but the love just shined. She was loving, she was giving, and she just gave of herself, and I love that. But again, hurts and pains from a young kid, you know, just trauma, you know, happens.
You know, and I can speak for myself. You know, I knew her sister. I went to school with her. We, you know, we are the same age. And I know that she was just as much as a firecracker as her sister. But I know that although she loved a lot and she always wanted to make people happy, and she was always hugging and always, you know, even through high school, always had a smile. But underneath that smile, there was a lot of pain. And she had been rejected throughout all her life. And a lot of times for many people, when we go through rejection, we turn to addictions.
Different things,
We turn to different alternatives. We turn to different situations. And so that causes us to be like that beggar that is all he wanted, all he desired. That beggar that was outside the rich man's house, all he desired was to be fed. He wanted to be fed with love. He wanted to be fed with attention. He wanted to be fed with affection. He wanted to be fed with someone to understand that he was in pain with those sores, pain of rejection, pain of failing, pain of no one accepting him. So we've all experienced that.
Oh, yes.
We've all experienced that in one way or another, right? Whether it be through our childhood. And the reason why we spoke more about childhood is because, yes, we experience rejection as an adult,
Yes.
but it starts as a child, but
Yes.
we don't talk about those things. So it's important to go back to the roots
Yep.
of where that rejection came from. Why do I feel insecure? Why do I feel like I'm not good enough?
Right.
It doesn't come out of nowhere from an adulthood. It comes
From a child.
from a child. So a tree that is not fruitful, that is not beautiful, it doesn't happen once it's grown. It happens from the root of it. If it's not taken care of,
Oh, yeah.
if it's not planted at a certain time of the year, if it's not watered with love, right?
Yeah.
It's not going to be fruitful.
Yeah.
And so all of us, at some point or another, we want to make sure that we learn. All of us are learning from this. The Lord revealed something to me a few weeks ago about that story about the beggar and how, for me, I never look at anyone homeless or going through a situation any different, and that's just me, because God has dealt with me and taught me that I am to love them, to be a blessing unto them. But I'll tell you, God gave me a whole other revelation. I will never look at them I will look at them with more love, with more compassion, with more empathy, because now God has given me an understanding that they too, all they desire is to be loved. All they desire is to be, held and embraced and feel like they are worthy.
Yes.
That they are important, that they matter, that they're smart. Because not everybody that is out there because of drugs or
That's
drinking.
right. That's
It's
right.
not because they want to be out there. It's because somewhere down their line, they have also been rejected.
Right. Right.
And so all that rejection has caused a lot of shame and a lot of pain. Ladies, do you have anything else you would like to share?
Just the way you're talking, it's very important for children, because a lot of times when we are children, we don't remember a lot of things from our childhood. So this is just my theory, but I feel like a lot of those instances and memories are in our subconscious, which is deeper than the conscious. It's really deep. So like when we go through rejection, all those things, it's not like, oh, we're adults and we know when we're being rejected and whatnot. It's deep.
Yeah.
It's deep. It's behind
Yes.
everything. So it's like the only way we can reach that is through God. Like you just gotta go deeper than that in order to get out of that cycle you find yourself as an adult, not knowing where it started from.
It's not only just through absolutely, it's through God, but also discussing it.
Right.
Yes.
Talking about it. And not just talking about it, but also through the testimonies, providing you with the tools to teach you that there are resources out there. You don't have to go through this alone. There is information out there, whether books, whether it's videos, whether it's sermons, whether it's a group of Together We Are One, whether it's through our Facebook page or when we have our website up and running. But there's resources out there. You don't have to do this alone. A lot of times we don't think, to talk to somebody because we're full of shame and pain. A lot of times we don't know that there are resources out there. We don't even bother to look for what's out there. Or we don't want to talk to our family members because we don't want to be embarrassed or we don't want them to feel bad. And it happens to all of us. But it's time that we start healing, don't you think? It's time for the women to be whole, to be able to be prosperous, to be able to be independent, and when they look in the mirror, say, "Girl, you look fine. You are pleasantly plump, but you still look fine. You have all these wrinkles, but you still look fine. Age with wine, you look good, right?" So, with that being said, we're going to get ready to close our episode. We want to thank you for joining us. We want to thank you for sharing and inviting others. I want to apologize again for the technical difficulties. We are all learning. Unfortunately, due to the COVID, we have not been able to have the camera that we need and or the location because it's closed. But we're trusting God with this process. He's the one that's doing this. All honor and glory goes to him because we could do nothing without him. We wouldn't be the courageous women that sit here today before you to be able to talk about the root problems that we have all experienced. No one's an exception. So if anybody tells you, no, I've never gone through rejection, they're lying. Because whether it be through work, through job, through trying to have a better job, trying to feel, that you fit in here or fit there or whatever that is because you have experienced rejection. So our hope, our goal is through our conversations, through our testimonies, that you would be blessed, that you would be able to learn from it and grow from it, that you will come every Sunday, join us at 3 o'clock. We're sorry that we ended up a little bit later today because we started later, but we know that and trust and believe that this is going to be a blessing to you. So thank you for joining us. We pray that you have an amazing rest of the week. We pray that this new year will be a blessing to you, that God's favor will be upon your life, that you would have health, and that you will have joy and peace for 2021. God bless you and thank you for joining us. I am Michelle.
I'm Marisol.
I'm Essie.
I'm Alina.
And together,
we are one.
Thank you.